Over a week has passed since a Russian drone crashed into a cornfield in the Polish town of Ossini. However, as yet, no official information about the incident has been released. There is no shortage of unconfirmed, albeit credible and increasingly disturbing, reports in the public domain. A few comments on the Russian drone in Ossini. It flew in from Ukraine. After crossing the border, it headed northeast towards Warsaw. It exploded about 50 kilometers southwest of the 23rd Tactical Air Base, where on that day, at around the same time, the Minister of Defence was visiting the FA-50 simulators. If it had continued its flight on the same trajectory, it may have reached the airbase. It is not yet known whether it crashed only because it became caught on high-voltage power lines. Perhaps it was pure coincidence, or perhaps not. When speculation multiplies and fears arise that it was, for example, an attack on the Minister of Defence, the sense of danger intensifies. A country whose citizens are afraid is unable to defend itself effectively, and that may be what our enemy wants. Could the Polish Minister of Defence really have been the target of the attack from across the eastern border? The ministry has yet to confirm this. However, the message about where the drone armed with explosives came from is changing. It is interesting that this drone flew in from Ukraine. Ukraine is at war with Russia. So it flew in from Ukraine, because I heard from the prosecutor's office that it probably came from Belarus, probably from Ukraine. So that's a different version. I haven't heard that one yet. There is no official version yet. We are waiting, but from what I hear, and this is not the official version, it flew in from Ukraine. Immediately after the incident, the authorities were telling a different story. This drone was not released accidentally. It was released deliberately to attack Ukraine. As a result of various measures, it ended up in Poland, but the entire operation was initiated by the Russian Federation. More than a week after the incident, the only thing that is certain is that an armed drone flew into Polish airspace. Military radars did not detect it, thanks to which it flew in the Polish skies for a long time until it finally exploded. Imagine, you're sitting quietly, doing something on your computer. Your wife is almost asleep, and then boom, so loud that the house shakes. If the windows hadn't been open, I might be calling a glassmaker right now instead of talking to you. And what is Polish society supposed to think today? That Russia, by launching its drones and missiles, can expect Poland to have no air defense system? This was a test failed by Donald Tusk's government. Some experts believe that the drone did not reach its intended target and crashed into a cornfield only because it got caught in a high-voltage power line. Poles have the right to know what is happening in Poland at our borders, what threats we are facing today and how the government is able to respond to these threats. And since it probably can't, it simply tries to stay quiet. And when it does say something, oftentimes it would be better if it hadn't. This is how politicians from the ruling coalition explain in the media why the drone was not detected by radar. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to reassure you, the drone appeared in public space at a very low altitude, which is why it was difficult to detect it on the radar. According to experts, all this directly incriminates the Minister of National Defence, Władysław Kosiniak-Kamysz. It was a scandal. It was also a PR scandal for the armed forces, for the politician responsible for these forces. Looking at it consistently, after such an event, the Defence Minister should immediately resign. But there should also be personal consequences related to what we witnessed. That's not all. Poland is dramatically unprepared for a possible crisis, including in terms of medical care, according to a report entitled Safe in a Crisis, prepared by, among others, the Military Medical Institute, National Research Institute. There are 1,193 hospitals in Poland, including about 300 public entities of strategic importance, but only 8% of them have full facilities to operate in conditions of chemical, biological, radiation and nuclear threats. There is also a shortage of personnel, especially paramedics and infectious disease specialists, as well as medicine. The report states that over 70% of the reimbursed prescription medicines in Poland contain active substances imported from Asia. There is no integrated system for the distribution of resources between civilian and military hospitals, which was evident, among other things, during the pandemic and the refugee crisis. The situation is very bad in terms of security. The 20 billion zloty that are missing from the National Health Fund's budget today is a gap that unfortunately also has a huge impact on Polish security and preparedness for a possible armed conflict and for the threats that hang over Poland today in connection with the international situation and hybrid aggression against Poland on the part of Russia and Belarus. The strategic management of the medical security system falls under the responsibility of the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of National Defence.